This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
The wrestling podcast that sets all other podcasts apart. Covering news from the world of WWE, AEW, TNA, and more. Your favorite weekly episodic podcast, Ramblers Unleashed, starts now.
Well, welcome to your Tuesday Night Delight. It is another wonderful Tuesday, and we're back. Finally, we're back on our normal scheduled time here on youtube.com/Ramblers Unleashed and on twitch.tv. Welcome to it. Brand new program for you, just days outside of Elimination Chamber, and boy, what a PLE that was. If you missed our review, you can definitely go back and check that out on demand here on YouTube. Let's introduce. Yeah, J-Bone, you missed it. And J-Bone, I definitely want to get your quick thoughts on what you thought about Elimination Chamber. But first, let's go ahead and do the intros. First up, my best friend, the person who would never even think about eating Culver's without any of us, especially me. And he's the only guy that I know that pops bigger for Joel Gertner than any of us. The traders can address him as Mr. Magus, but you and I can call him the Mighty Maximus Magus Golfers Clap. Max, how are you, buddy?
I am well. I am excited for tonight's show. I cannot wait to discuss what happened last night on Monday Night Raw.
Oh,
I also need to point out that those Groupons still have not shown up. So we need to reach out to Mrs. J-Bone again.
yeah, and look who we got down on the bottom, Max. I believe this is. I'm going to play something real quick, but this is what we have here on the bottom. Listen up, especially you two.
What do we got here? A cup of traders.
Yep.
My name is Max Magus, and I'm a certified heel and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here is Big Dizzy, and he's got a voice for podcasting, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, loyalist guys in the room, how you doing?
I love
And
it.
if you're one of the two traders in this chat, there's only one word to describe you, and I'm gonna spell it out for you. SAWFT. Soft.
Love it.
Now,
How was that?
I will say that this one over here is earning his way back into the good graces. He's stepped up from being the black sheep to being probationary. But the one right here below me, we're watching you.
Yeah, he's. You know what? The guy below me is definitely starting to earn his stripes again. So let's give him an introduction next. The person whose catchphrase is and will always be Baron, please.
420. That's my catchphrase.
There's only one word to describe him. HIGH.
Hi. The one who gets higher than planes AEW more than anyone that I know, and who hand feeds Culver's to J-Bone on a picnic without his two other podcast mates, but he's working on getting that erased from his permanent record. He is the mighty Baron Golfers Clap.
Thank
How
you.
are you, Baron?
Thank you. Not bad, man. Not bad at all. I'm glad I'm getting back into your guys' goodwill.
It's
But if I have to go back and take J-Bone's side because he's left out, then that's what I have to do.
I'm
You're gonna leave me in the cold.
I'm this close to reinstating the Colorado invitation. Let's not mess it up now.
Yeah, the Colorado invitation. No, everything's good. Everything's good. Ready to talk some wrestling.
I am ready to talk some wrestling too. Let's introduce the final trader, the producer of the show, who likes to gift Baron Culver's while giving Max and I the finger, laughing maniacally as they skip off hand in hand to the park. But I think the Baron is going to stop that soon. But without his wonderful Mrs., the lovely Mrs. J Bone, who gives us his time. And by the way, Mrs. J Bone, that check and chair is in the mail for you. You know what I mean? It's from Max and I. Take care of that, please. Ladies and gentlemen, golfers, clap for J Bone.
Yeah, J-Bone, woo, best friend.
Anybody else notice that Coke bottle guy here went like this after I did? You can't see us, and it's got nothing to do with us being any relation to John Cena.
Right? Exactly. J Bone, how are you, man?
I am good, man. There's so much craziness going around in the world of, we'll just say, like, on the road to WrestleMania now. It's just, oh my God. Chamber, for those of you that may not know, the Elimination Chamber PLE and or the match itself has always been one of my favorites throughout its existence. It's 20 plus year existence.
Yep.
Thank you, Eric Bischoff. I believe he's the one that created it.
I thought it was Chris Jericho.
No, he created something else. He
created something else. Okay. Yeah.
He created musical chairs or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Triple H, Eric Bischoff.
Okay.
But I love the chamber. I love the old school chamber, but I'll take this chamber. It's it just depends on what happens inside of it. The stories that are told, the match that happens is what counts. So I don't care what it looks like. So
yeah, I mean, it was a really solid PLE. A lot of stuff happened that we didn't think was going to happen. We definitely predicted wrong on a lot of stuff. And by the way, J-Bone, you were 3-1 for your tally, you cheater.
Was I? Oh,
yeah, you were definitely 3-1.
He doesn't deserve that score.
He really doesn't deserve that score. We're gonna give that score to the Baron.
He just tried to credit Jericho with musical chairs when it was Money in the Bank that Jericho created.
Oh yeah.
Briefcases have been used throughout, history. So I don't know what that's about. So
My mic is over here muted. I was like, how the hell did you know he created? Did you just look that up? Jericho? Yeah, you just looked it up, right? Just like I did with Triple H. Triple H created Elimination Chamber. I never knew that.
Triple H and Bischoff together.
No, Triple H created it, and it was introduced by Bischoff. I just read the whole thing about it. He created the entire Elimination Chamber. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
That's crazy. Well, Elimination Chamber
introduced by Bischoff, whatever that means.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he went out with a mic and did a promo on it, but either way, man,
the mind of Bischoff.
Elimination Chamber was great, and we have a lot of news to cover. So, guys, let's dive right in.
You are not skipping this over. I know you're embarrassed when your best friend introduces you, but come on, man, you're the host of the show. You're the Rambler that created all this. Triple H, all right? You gotta have your intro. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to the viewing audience, though. Thank you for joining us once again. We greatly appreciate you. And even you, Styles, we're glad to have you here or something. But ladies and gentlemen, this man right over here, he is my best friend. He is the reason that we are the Ramblers. Without him, we'd just be some other podcast like Smash This Podcast or Destroying Kayfabe or something. I don't know. But we are the Ramblers because of this man right here. This is the man that puts the stories together. This is the man without whom we wouldn't have a show. The man that's got a voice for podcasting. My best friend, Dizzy. Round of applause, everybody.
Thank you. And might I say, shots fired, Max.
he was throwing some fingers out there.
Throwing some heat, man.
J-Bone, they're really after your ass here lately. Is it because he missed the show Saturday? What happened here? It's gotten a little deeper.
My ass is chapped, man. My goodness.
Hey, listen, I went after Styles with that intro as well. So it wasn't like I just singled out J-Bone.
Yeah. Yeah. J-Bone, you have to pick up the slack, man. You're slacking, bud. Super slap. How dare you go get a big boy job?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. How dare I bust my ass and earn the money I make and
No. How dare you?
put food on the table, and I know it's rough. It's rough.
Well, at least you're here tonight, so we can, I guess, overlook the fact you weren't here on Saturday. But we do have a lot to dive into tonight, so let's go ahead and dive in. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Chapped like Tyson's ass. Yes, yes, yeah. It's more like a cross between Shawn Michaels' ass and Tyson's ass. You know. Yeah.
Well, let's dive right into what we got for tonight, and we kick it off with probably the best promo I've seen on Raw in a very, very long time. CM Punk set the Raw stage on fire with his March 3rd promo, calling out The Rock, John Cena, and Seth Rollins before triggering a wild brawl. Now Fightful Select has revealed the creative forces behind the chaos, naming Alexandra Williams as the writer responsible for Punk's promo, which is beginning major praise backstage. Williams, she's a rising name on the WWE creative team, reportedly behind Punk's fiery words, and sources say the segment was very well received. Meanwhile, the producer behind the entire Rollins-Punk brawl, J-Bone, none other than former TNA legend Abyss. He was behind all of that, with Williams getting recognition for her work on Punk's promo and Abyss producing a Rollins Punk madness. It's clear that the company is putting serious effort into making this feud a must-watch television show. Now we move on from that to another piece of news that coincides with CM Punk, because Seth Rollins, after Punk cut that scathing promo on The Rock and John Cena, he attacked Seth Rollins as well, and even took pot shots at Seth's wife, Becky Lynch, saying along the lines of, "Becky, you better come get your man before I do."
Come get your husband, yeah.
Yeah. Following Punk's tirade and the brawl while speaking on the Raw recap show, Seth Rollins called out CM Punk for being a fraud and a coward, among other things. Rollins criticized Punk for being a hypocrite, pointing out the world's praises, Punk's words about Cena and The Rock and the decision made at the Royal Rumble. However, Rollins argued that Punk had done everything and more of what he was accused of those guys of. Rollins went on to say the Punk gave up on his dream of main eventing WrestleMania years ago and had no right to pass judgment. Rollins also took issue with Punk's willingness to call out others while refusing to look in the mirror and acknowledging his own mistakes. He stated that Punk had caused suffering for others and never took responsibility for it. And the storyline, guys, doesn't stop here, because Becky Lynch tried to get into the middle of it since she was thrown in by CM Punk. She went on a savage tweet, and that was all aimed at CM Punk, but now it's mysteriously gone after Lynch took a shot at Punk's past interactions with female talent by quote tweeting a side-by-side photo of Punk and Roxanne Perez in matching gear at Elimination Chamber. She made it clear that she wasn't the one who needed to come get her man. But just like Cora Jade, who called out Lynch's behavior weird before deleting her own tweet, the man has now wiped her post from Twitter as well. Here's what she wrote. "Catching up on Raw, I don't think I'm the one who needs to come get my man." End quote. So after Punk's promo, that led to Lynch's pointed response, which seemed to allude to fans speculating about Punk's relationship with Perez and his history of being surrounded by women in the WWE despite being married to AJ Lee. Now, Cora Jade, known for having a close bond with Punk, wasn't having any of it. She fired back with a simple weird behavior tweet, but quickly deleted that one too. Now Lynch did the same thing, leaving fans wondering why both women suddenly backed off of one another. And now we got a steel cage match between Rollins and Punk on next week's Raw. Guys, this story just gets better and better. Max, do you think there's actual heat between Punk and Seth?
Oh, I know there is. I don't know if they're both professional though. Yeah. So I think they're controlling their real beef with each other for the purpose of the show. Yeah. But there's Seth Rollins really does have a problem with Punk returning. Now, over the last several months, that blow has been softened a little bit. I'm sure Seth is like, all right, it's a work environment. We're going to make it a work environment. But their heat stretches back a ways because Rollins pissed at the way Punk has treated the business. And sometimes that wasn't storyline what Punk was doing. And Rollins doesn't appreciate that. As far as this feud goes, I think their real life beef is what's creating this chemistry that's making this, it's so enthralling for everybody that everyone is, you can't help but be sucked into this.
Right.
And yes, Punk has made mistakes in the past that has cost him, has hurt others. But this is different than with the Drew McIntyre situation because of the fact that Drew really is his biggest obstacle, whereas in Punk's case, as we saw at the Elimination Chamber, Seth attacked him after getting eliminated, which cost him the match to John Cena. So even though Punk has made those mistakes, Seth Rollins is guilty of taking out Punk Saturday night. There actually is grounds on Punk's end for the complaints that he is making, and this is another one of those stories where you're looking at this going, oh my God, both sides are making really good points. Where do I go with this? Who am I supposed to choose on this?
Yeah. And it's Baron, it's kind of hard to choose sides. After watching that promo, whose side are you on? Are you on Punk's side or
I'm on AJ Lee's side.
Yeah. I figured you'd say that.
No, I mean, like, yeah, Max nailed it. I mean, obviously there's beef between the two of them outside of wrestling. I mean, like, I think almost everybody did during that period of time when CM Punk left and transitioned over to AEW because he was pretty vocal about WWE and being, you know, what that place was to him at that time.
Yeah.
Or not just AEW, but just interviews in general. So definitely there's some real life beef going on there. Whose side I'm on? I mean, I personally rather see CM Punk in the championship match, but that's just me. I think it's cool that they're slipping him in with the Seth Rollins story, but I feel like it needs a little bit more. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, the promo work and it's going to be fantastic, but like, it's just like a squash, like a grudge match, you know, at Mania that will happen. If I have to go with someone, it's going to be CM Punk.
I think J-Bone, they're going to tell this story even more all the way to WrestleMania, and they're definitely going to be telling that story inside that steel cage next week.
Yeah, that is going to be a messed up chapter from it. Hopefully it doesn't go so far that it takes out one and or both of them from the WrestleMania card. But I'm very excited about it because I said I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I called it, you know, but I when they were fighting at the, you know, at the start of the show. And let me tell you, man, if you go back and watch that when they first connected and Punk was right in front of the ring and Seth ran down the ramp and they were throwing haymakers at each other. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, go and watch that again. And those fists were connecting with the face. Okay. Yeah. So that right there, I was like,
they were stiff.
Because a lot of times you'd be like, okay, yeah, they're fighting. You put the hand on the head, you hit the hand. Put the hand on the head, you hit the hand.
No. That's not how that works, buddy. That's not what they do now.
I'm just saying that's not what happened. Those two beat the hell out of each other and kept going back.
CM Punk's got to watch that real life shit, though. We've all seen him in the ring, octagon, and he should be picking fights with anybody.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, that's different. But yeah,
there's more to it than the real life heat that went on with those exchanges. When you are working at a wrestling show, when you're in the ring, it's a little easier to pull the punch. Hit them a certain way so it looks like you hit them harder. But when you're right there at ringside in front of a row of fans, you can't often pull your punch because they're going to see it if you pull your punch. Yeah. So those haymakers were partially real because of where they were standing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just made me excited, well, my point of that was,
it
bless
was
you. That was my cat sneezing. Still sneezing. My goodness. Yeah, I was like, just put them in a cage. Just please put these two in a cage and let them go. You know, the crowd's always yell, let them fight, let them fight. Yes, let them fight. Put them in a cage. We got it. We got it next Monday.
next Monday, indeed. And I know that
Sounds like just the beginning, though. Like something's got to happen to progress to Mania, because we're already having a cage match on Raw.
Yeah.
You know, like something's happening during that match.
Yes.
I gotta say one more thing about Seth, though. My God, it's what happened on, was it the go home to the chamber on Monday, when they were all about 20 feet apart from each other, yelling at each other, and they didn't get physical. What the hell was Seth wearing? It was like he took a bunch of oven mitts and sewed them together to like a midriff jacket, and then like red oven mitt Gumby pants. I'm like,
well,
dear God.
I think Mir cleared that up, and Seth apparently raided your closet, J-Bone.
Yeah, J-Bone, so tell us, what was that outfit?
Yeah, you got some explaining to do.
I've never seen it before.
How the hell did the blind guy see that?
Well, I know that we are all excited for Punk and Seth next week in the steel cage. Chad, if you are excited, you let us know in the chat if you're excited about that match. But we move on with some other updates from last night's Raw, including the condition of Sami Zayn. Michael Cole provided an update saying his condition was re-aggravated at Elimination Chamber in that attack from Kevin Owens. And at this point, the prognosis seems pretty grim. Cole also stated that Zayn is out indefinitely, which we wish a speedy recovery to Sami Zayn. And another name that came back to Elimination Chamber that everybody is talking about is Jade Cargill taking out Naomi, and she finally broke her silence in a social media vignette. This is really interesting, guys. Listen up. She says,
I did not see this.
She didn't directly mention her attack, but she made it clear that she's been through hell and isn't here to play nice. Here's what she said, and I quote: "There are wolves in the shape of women all around me. I can see the way they look in my eyes. I am not them, and they are not me. I weathered every storm that was meant to break me." And this video, by the way, can you guess who it was directed by without Googling it?
Hurricane.
No.
Well, you said storm, so
Well, yeah, you would think storm, hurricane, but no, that is not right. It was the newest NXT signee, Ricky Saints, who directed this vignette. Yeah, she didn't stop there though. She said, quote, "They demanded proof I belong, as if my scars weren't enough. Losing my mother while being a mother, carrying the weight of all of it while still thriving." She continued, "You don't have to like me, but you will respect me. I'm here because I've earned it. Every scar, every loss, every step. I will not strike myself for anyone. Don't mistake my grace for weakness. I've played by the rules long enough. Now it's time for mine. I am one of one. I am that bitch." Reminding all of us that if you followed her in AEW, she was an absolute powerhouse. And we will see Jade make her return on SmackDown this Friday night, and I am stoked. Actually, this is the most stoked I've been about Jade Cargill coming back, about Jade Cargill, period. Because when she first debuted, it was just like, hey, she's here. And then it just kind of a decline. And it was just boring, you know? But now this is good.
It was sporadic. So I get that reaction to it. I totally do. You know, it's because they were trying to figure out what to do with her. They were trying to figure out what her strengths were, what her weaknesses were. She wasn't just coming off of some, like, 5-year fantastic run, say like Jordan Grace, just to throw an example out there. Jade Cargill, while she looked great, while she had a great record in the world of professional wrestling in another company, she was highly protected. We all know that. So yeah, it is what it is. I still think she's going to do phenomenal things in this company.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of time. But yeah, I thoroughly agree. I loved her surprise show up, and then she completely destroyed Naomi.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to the point that she took the door and bashed it into her face. That made me almost fall off the damn couch. I was like, oh, good night, Naomi.
It was brutal. I mean, the attack was brutal. And just another clarification that Cargill is not here to play around, man. Not anymore. And
some eagle-eyed people noticed that it may not be Naomi she was actually after right then, but Naomi was the one she had access to. Because if you watch the video, you'll see Bianca taking her coat off as Jade hits the ring. So now we've got a little bit of doubt. Was it Naomi? Was it Bianca? Was it both of them? I'm intrigued to find out which one actually made the attack.
Yeah. Baron, who do you think, man? Who do you think made the attack?
I think it was R-Truth.
No, it was Rikishi.
It was R-Truth in Cody's trailer with the shrimp.
Yeah. No, I mean, but just thinking of it, though, like, it had to be Naomi, right? She got something out of this from attacking her. She got the championship. She became a tag champion. So, like, that's the only thing I could think of that makes sense. Like, why would Bianca attack her unless they have some kind of beef that we don't know about?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it's going to end up being Naomi or Bianca versus Jade at some point. So that's the plus of this all. Great promo, but I felt like that was a little bit like scripted from Game of Thrones. I've heard these quotes before, but yeah, I hope whatever it is, she comes out with the heat, because prior to this, there was not much that I was enjoying from her.
Yeah, and me either.
Baron, most wrestling fans have not watched Game of Thrones.
I've watched Game of Thrones.
I think I would hope they've watched Game of Thrones.
Here's the thing. Okay,
I watched the first season.
J-Bone says he watched it, but we know he couldn't see it, so he was listening to it the whole time. But outside of this, and probably this chat right over here, most wrestling fans aren't smart enough to understand Game of Thrones, so they didn't watch it.
It is a show that you definitely have.
So wait, are you talking bad about the wrestling fans?
Wow. Mostly the IWC, but that's beside the point.
Max.
Wow.
Viewers, sorry. Don't listen to what Max said. You guys are all bright individuals, lovely human beings.
I said the chat was smart.
Yeah. Well, let's transition from that to the desk of Max Magus. And this is I'm interested in your take on this, man. So, rapper Travis Scott made his way to the ring at Elimination Chamber with The Rock to get the answer from Cody Rhodes. And during the Cena heel turn, Scott was seen hovering over Cody and smacking him really hard. And now it appears that Scott legitimately injured Cody. So footage surfaced of Scott hitting Rhodes near his ear, and it was a loud thud. It was, matter of fact, it was so loud you even heard it on the broadcast, and it left a lot of fans concerned for Cody rather. So while speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Uncle Dave revealed that Cody Rhodes sustained a burst eardrum and a black eye following the incident with Travis Scott, saying, quote, Cody got hurt. I'm pretty sure it was Travis Scott that did it. I heard he had a busted eardrum and a black eye, end quote. As the undisputed WWE champion, Cody Rhodes might also get an opportunity to take revenge on Travis Scott. After all, the rapper has been training in the ring, and the WWE has discussed the possibility of booking him for future matches. But now it seems, Max, that MJF has come to the defense of Scott's appearance into the business for various reasons. While speaking to Sports Illustrated, MJF compared Scott's involvement in the Cena heel turn as a comparison to Dennis Rodman in the NWO. He also pointed out that when Rodman appeared on WCW TV, outlets like ESPN covered it. MJF also said that it could lead to much more mainstream attention for the company. So, Max, the question is, do you think Travis Scott has any reason to be in pro wrestling?
All right, first off, we've discussed my thoughts on Travis Scott. I think he should have been charged a long time ago. I find it weird WWE's working with him, despite the fact that the man's faced consequences for his festival. That being said, the WWE has a history of bringing in outside non-wrestling talent to help bolster ratings and get numbers up. And I don't think they need to bolster the ratings right now. And the world is paying attention. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the world has woken up and gone, oh my God, look what Triple H has done. Now the show's on Netflix. Cody Rhodes dropped the F-bomb in a PLE. That's not happened in a while. Cena's turned heel. Jade Cargill took out Naomi. CM Punk dropped a pipe bomb again. The world is paying attention. All right, they're watching. They're waiting to see what you're going to do next. They're waiting with bated breath. But I would like to point out a couple of things on the Travis Scott situation. And I give credit where credit is due. Both of these posts were made by Eric Angel, who is a local wrestling legend. He's one half of the Canadian Pitbulls. They have wrestled Canada all the way down to Texas and all across the U.S. He has worked as a singles wrestler for quite a few years. He's held multiple titles in multiple states. The man is very talented and knows his stuff. And I've shared stuff from him before. 3 hours ago, he posted, for those who missed the subtle clues, Rock confronts Cody at Bad Blood. Travis Scott was there. Travis Scott was paired up with Jey Uso, Cody's WWE best friend. Rock confronts Cody on the Netflix premiere. Travis Scott was there. Travis Scott has been a part of the story the whole time. You just missed the signs. Do you think after the Bloodline saga of the past few years, y'all would learn by now WWE doesn't do things by accident or coincidence? Then when it's Cody versus Travis Scott on night one of SummerSlam, y'all will act surprised and brand new like WWE hasn't been telling you all this was coming. Now, the other thing I want to point out, because you already mentioned Dennis Rodman, but this is all these young new wrestling fans crashing out over Travis Scott. Y'all never would have survived watching David Arquette pin DDP to become the WCW champion or Rodman in the NWO. It goes all the way back to Liberace, of all people.
Yeah.
Cyndi Lauper.
Man.
Non-wrestling celebrities have been part of this business the whole time.
But you also have to think about, Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, Bad Bunny, Mr. T. The list goes on and on and on.
And Styles is always thinking about Tyson.
Yeah, especially his ass. It's definitely. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, it's been prevalent since the beginning of televised WWE. It's been a thing the whole time, and it's not just WWE. We've seen celebrities go to TNA and AEW. It's not as often, or at least as noticeable, maybe, but it's always been a thing. And sometimes those non-wrestling celebrities become wrestling celebrities, Logan Paul, and sometimes they just do a match, Johnny Knoxville.
I will be really honest here. I totally forgot about all of that your buddy posted about Travis Scott being part of the storyline. I totally.
Well, yeah, I thought I said that Saturday, but he has. I mean, he's been a part of it a while. I mean, it makes sense, but just like everybody, just like Max said, this is what WWE does. We're not a wrestling company; they're an entertainment value, bar anything else, before anything else. So it makes sense. And Travis Scott has a very, very, very large following. So, it makes sense. And what he was doing out there was, I mean, I was laughing. I thought it was comedy. He was fucking getting the bad voodoos out of the fucking air with his little incest, same, but I don't like that he got him injured. But also that came from Dave Meltzer, so I don't listen to anything he says.
Well, I mean, if you hear the pop, did you hear the pop?
Oh, it was a smack, but also like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he was directed to hit him pretty good too, not lightly. And I imagine it probably looked worse than it actually felt for Cody Rhodes. I mean, like Travis Scott is probably $150. Cody Rhodes is like 200 pounds pure muscle.
Yeah.
But I mean, it made the segment better. It didn't discredit that segment to me. I think it made it better. The intensity that came with it. All three of them beating the shit out of him. So,
and Mir, that is true. And Andy Kaufman. I think the difference between who we've seen previously versus Andy Kaufman is Andy Kaufman actually had a love for this industry. I think he had a desire to be in this industry. I think he knew how to play a good heel. And I just don't think Travis Scott knows. I mean, obviously he's being coached. Of course he doesn't know. He's a fucking rapper. But, I think Andy Kaufman at least loved this industry enough to go and, be a good heel persona.
Yeah. But also to go back on Travis Scott for a second, he is a lifelong wrestling fan. So he does have like, he's a lifelong wrestling fan. It's just like Bad Bunny. I mean, there's not a bigger artist in the world than Bad Bunny at that time when he was in WWE, but he always had that passion for wrestling. So you never, it might work out. I think it would play good with the story, kind of bring some weirdness with the him coming out with The Rock maybe every time they come out. That'd be kind of cool. I'm never against the celebrities unless it's like an absolute garbage human.
I think Styles has a point though. Travis Scott does have a receipt coming for that stupid slap he pulled on Cody. Honestly, he's got an ass whooping coming.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
The Rock does too, because if you listen to, I'm pretty sure I'm paraphrasing here, but if you listen to the press conference that happened after the PLE, when The Rock was talking about Travis Scott, he kind of directed him like, hey, if you're gonna get a couple punches in or whatever you're gonna do to him, make it good.
Yeah, make it count.
Right. Yeah,
so that right there, you want to blame anyone for it? Go ahead, blame The Rock.
Yeah.
Because the Rock could have told him, no, don't touch him, just make your presence known.
Sure. Yeah.
No, he told him.
Yeah. Let's move on to some AEW news because, guys, we got some really good news. After a few weeks, a few weeks back, AEW parted ways with several members of the roster, including Malachi Black, Miro, and Ricky Saints. Penta's brother is finally gone from AEW, which is good news. And his brother Penta is currently having a big run in the WWE against Ludwig Kaiser. Now, really, there was no mention of Ray Phoenix because he's still under contract due to his injury, but that isn't apparently all that was going on with Phoenix. While trying to get out of the injury time that extended his deal and join Penta, Phoenix publicly alleged that he was being mistreated during his time at AEW, which he would later delete those comments, but it would seem that the negotiations were successful. Phoenix is no longer featured on AEW's website, and this is what we've been talking about. Matter of fact, this is what we've been waiting for, is Phoenix to finally get released from AEW, and that means that maybe he's healed or he's on the verge of healing, and he can go and have the conversations maybe with the WWE to join his brother Penta. So we might be seeing Ray Phoenix on WWE programming very, very soon. I hope so.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. I hope we do. I just hope, for the love of God, we just don't throw him in a tag team and get him lost in the shuffle. Penta by himself, needs no one else. The man's over. The crowd's over for him. I think he could have a pretty solid solo run. So
Yeah.
I hope to see him continually do that because I don't want to see him be thrown in a tag team
You think
and get lost in sauce.
you think that they'll send Phoenix to NXT? No. Max?
I've seen some rumblings today online. Eric made a post as well as the news results when I Googled the story earlier today. There's some talk that maybe they'll send him over to SmackDown for a while, let him make his way through the SmackDown roster and eventually bring them together. But with Penta's run being what it is right now, do you really want to shift that run into a tag team?
Not really.
You got this big, great thing going on with Penta. Let's see if we can create that magic on SmackDown with Ray for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then maybe at Survivor Series, you bring them together as part of one of the Survivor Series teams or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here's Chad Gable, right?
Yep.
Where did he go? Where's he at?
He went to Mexico.
Correct. To learn the trade, right?
Went
Now,
to
how badass would that be if he came back with Phoenix? And
He's coming back with a box.
Oh my
Phoenix and Penta
Oh my God!
paired off. How dope would that be? That would have
that would be
for a loop.
freaking
He's
awesome.
coming back with that Mexican peyote.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Did anybody else get Gremlins vibes when the guy sold him that box in the back alley?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll have to keep our eyes on.
I was going to say no, but I was trying to figure out if the guy was Dario Cueto or not because it looked like just like a scene out of Lucha Underground.
It did kind of look like a scene out of the Lucha Underground for sure. We'll have to keep our eyes on the Ray Phoenix situation as it develops, and we will definitely let you know. Let's move on to Collision. Their viewership on Saturday was not good as the feud between Mariah May and Toni Storm heated up, but who watched it? Well, according to Jedi Goodman, AEW Collision averaged 280,000 viewers on TNT, marking a significant drop from last week's 412,000 viewers. And the show also posted a 0.06 rating in the key 18 to 49 demographic. That's down 50% from last week's 0.12 rating. These numbers only reflect TNT's broadcast viewership because they do not account for the AEW Collision simulcast on HBO Max, where additional viewership may have been recorded, but we don't know that for sure. But again, they were going up against Elimination Chamber.
Can I ask viewers and us, how many of us go to HBO Max to hence the HBO Max HBO I put in before there to watch AEW?
Yeah, let us know in the chat. Do you watch do you watch AEW programming on Max?
If I'm going to Max, I'm probably going to end up turning on Sopranos. That's
Yeah, I've
hold on
watching
just a second.
Sopranos.
Let's be clear. If Baron goes to Max, he's going to have me take him on a tour of the dispensaries, all right?
Well, that too, but I mean, like, I'm going to watch an episode of Sopranos.
It's either hold on, it's either The Sopranos or Deadwood, because Deadwood is a fucking amazing show if you've not seen it.
Good show. Does it hold up to Sopranos? No, I think it was too short for me, but I did like Deadwood.
It's
been a while since I've watched it too, though.
I know. I need to watch it again.
Good show, though.
Darren, I'm glad you're here, buddy, because it's time for your buzzkill.
Oh yeah, buzzkill, baby.
Yeah. So while speaking to Sports Illustrated, MJF calls out wrestlers who don't actively watch and study professional wrestling. He questions whether someone can truly call themselves a student of the game or one of the best in the industry if they aren't keeping up with what's happening. The Salt of the Earth believes that if a WWE star claims they don't watch AEW, they are either lying or they don't care enough about the business to study it. He states that many WWE wrestlers will be watching AEW Revolution because real pro wrestlers and athletes stay informed about their sport. Now, according to MJF, not keeping up with the industry shows a lack of seriousness about the profession and he simply pities such wrestlers. And here's what MJF said, and I quote, Baron, if you are in the world of professional wrestling, if you are a top guy and you don't watch or consume as much pro wrestling as possible, can you call yourself a student of the game? Can you say you're putting your best foot forward? Can you claim to be one of the best in the sport? In my opinion, no, you absolutely cannot. So if you were to ask a WWE star, have you been watching AEW? And they say no, one of two things is happening. One, they are lying through their fucking teeth. Or two, they don't care enough about this industry to study what's going on in it. So, Baron, keep up with the competition, or maybe see what they're doing, since they clearly are.
Well, so to be
hold on.
Okay.
Because they're subtly using the soul storyline from The Rock. AEW is with Mariah May and Tony Storm. Do you think that WWE stars are watching what TK's company is doing? Baron, go. Unload, dude.
No, I'm not. I don't even need to unload. Like, it's very short and sweet. I mean, like, the point he was trying to make was, if you're a student of the game, you're going to be watching these promotions, right? Yeah. Well, in order to, like, learn something, you have to, like, do something for someone to learn. So why would they be watching the show? I mean, what, other than some pretty decent wrestling, which I could say the vast majority of wrestlers in WWE could already probably do that moveset. Okay. It just doesn't have to happen every single week. We have to see what Will Ospreay's doing every single week. I love him, but it's the same fucking thing over and over, and I'm over it. But nonetheless, I don't think there's anything. I'm sure there's people in WWE watching AEW. Don't get me wrong.
I'm sure there are executives that are watching.
I'm sure they're watching, but what are, you know, what at the current state can they grab from them and be like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, other than buying talent? Name a storyline worthy that I'm going to copy and paste that over to my company. There
hasn't been a good storyline in AEW since Cody Rhodes was part of the company.
Oh well.
The last
Tony Storm and Mariah was fantastic.
Mariah was good. Okay.
Yeah, that was great. I think they're dragging it out a little bit too much for my liking now at this point, but that was fantastic. I again, tell me another one outside of that in the recent couple years.
Let's
say year.
I think the Mox takeover with his crew was good, and like what he did to Bryan Danielson, but it's gone downhill since then. It hasn't been consistent.
Yeah, I think they were trying to bring somebody in during that period of time to kind of like enhance that, because it was catchy, but then it was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, they kept it to like the mid card, and if you're gonna act like you're running the company, don't I'm sorry, like I dig the Outrunners. I think they're goofy. I think they're cool. But don't go after the Outrunners. Don't go after someone that's on TV once every 3 months. Keep it to, they should have been going after Swerve. They should have been going after Hangman. They should have been going after, pardon the term, but the top dogs, it's.
Well, no, 100%. I totally agree. And that's where, like when the question's asked, like, what, I'm sure they're watching. They're all friends. Everybody's friends in this industry in wrestling, like they're of course supporting their friends. They have to. But like, to be a student of the game and watch another promotion to learn something, to take it, there's not much for anybody to watch on AEW. And I'm sorry to the AEW fans. I really am. Well, I just can't get invested.
I mean, Max, didn't WCW superstars watch WWF? Obviously they did. Eric Bischoff was watching it when he spoiled Mankind winning the title.
I'm not sure they were watching so much as getting leaked information, because Bischoff knew that Mankind was winning that match before it aired, so he couldn't have watched it unless someone sent him the tape.
Well, you know what I mean.
Right. I think somebody called him. But yeah, you listen, there are some talented wrestlers in AEW. Overall, though, the product is not worth watching to study right now, and that is on the booking team. And the booking team is who? Oh yeah, it's Coke Boy. That's the problem with AEW. You have amazing talent. They put on some good matches, not the exploding ring, but that's beside the point. But the thing is, this isn't really the topic, but I want to make a point. The fact that I'm not currently watching AEW regularly has nothing to do with me being a WWE snob. And for those of you out there that are a WWE snob or an AEW stan, stop it. Stop it right now.
Right.
Just because you like one or the other and only like that one doesn't mean that everybody has to be just like you. Let people enjoy what they choose to enjoy. And I've said this to you people before. I'm just getting tired of seeing you on social media telling me that I shouldn't be watching WWE or I shouldn't watch AEW. That's stupid. No, Baron doesn't tell me that I shouldn't watch AEW. He says that he doesn't watch it and he doesn't think it's quality for people to be having to sit through. But he doesn't tell us we shouldn't be watching it. He's just giving an opinion. These people are out here saying, well, if you're still watching this company at this time, no. It's like telling me that I can't watch HBO Max. Screw you. I'm going to watch whatever streaming service I choose.
Especially since it's named after you.
Exactly.
Well, it's
How
not
else am I
even.
supposed to get royalties?
It's purely called Max.
Yeah.
Now it is.
I mean, like, it's your app, so you have to.
Right.
You're forced to watch the fucking thing.
If I don't watch it, how am I going to get the royalties, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
I
another point. I agree with MJF is saying. Don't get me wrong. I get the point he's trying to come across in that interview. I totally do. I just don't think everybody is watching your product, and AEW Collision was a prime example of that. 280,000 people are watching your product when Elimination Chamber's on. So, like,
well, how dumb of you, Tony Khan, to go up against a fucking monster like WWE. Come on, dude.
yeah, but wasn't WWE doing PLEs on Sunday when AEW started doing the Collision, though?
Well, no, ever since no, they've been doing them on Saturdays. They've started those on Saturdays a long time ago.
Within the last 4 years, though, right?
Yeah, well,
So, how long has Collision been on?
Collision's been on since what, 2020 maybe?
Fuck, I don't remember. I really don't remember. But I think maybe WWE switched to Saturdays versus Sundays while AEW Collision was already on. But I could be totally mistaken.
2023, June 17th, 2023.
Okay, my time's a little fucked up. Don't mind me, folks.
So, well, hang on. When did WWE move PLEs to Saturdays? And that answer is prior to 2022.
So not too far off, I guess. But yeah.
And Collision was made for CM Punk. It was supposed to be his show with a separate roster and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I will tell you that I do watch AEW. And it's not because of the show. It's because I want to see if they will get better week in and week out, but they don't. It just I'm more on my phone than I am watching AEW, or I'm watching the promos. I'm watching people cut the promos more than I am watching the actual wrestling, because the wrestling is just boring. It's just the same thing in it week in, week out, man. It doesn't tell a story in the ring like it's supposed to, and that again is going back on Tony Khan and how he's booking. But
right.
It kind of saddens me, honestly, because they have potential. It's just egos are fucking inflated right now, and they don't want to get better because Tony is on the coke and he thinks he knows all, and it's really just freaking sad. Really.
So I did some Googling real quick. I was looking for whatever the lowest rated Raw was.
Mhm.
And the lowest rated Raw that I found, not saying this was the lowest rated Raw, came from March 4th of 2023. No, I'm sorry. This is from Cage Match, so they reverse everything. April 3rd of 2023. And their rating was 0.90. So now I need to know how many viewers that equates to. And so I found a post on Reddit that says a ratings point itself represents 1% of all households in the U.S. So if we were to assume 115 million households, a 1.0 rating is 1.15 million homes tuning in. So even on what I found for the lowest rated Raw, you're still looking at almost 1 million viewers versus 280,000.
Yeah, exactly. And even and Mir said, WWE Evolved debuts tomorrow on Tubi. To be honest, I'm not going to watch it, but is that going to throw the numbers off for Dynamite? Are people going to pay attention to Evolve and not watch Dynamite? So I really think the WWE honestly is strategically doing this to slight AEW, to kill him. I really do think that they're doing this, or that AEW is doing this all themselves. They're kind of doing it to themselves. I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. But I just wish AEW would get better. But you know who is getting better, a lot better? That's TNA. Joe Hendry is on TNA, and we have some TNA news and good news. Eddie and Alicia Edwards have officially signed new contracts with TNA Wrestling, and that's PW Insider confirmed that information, which is fantastic news. But
nice,
there is another story floating around, and this involves AJ and Chris Van Vliet. He sat down to share his side of the story when it comes to who ruined TNA following his departure. Now, we've talked about this on the show, who ruined TNA, and we all have our own opinions. Well, AJ Styles kind of cleared the air on this. So according to Styles, things started to go downhill when TNA brought in Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. He said, quote, "I believe Eric was trying to do the right thing to see where we're at as far as getting more eyes on us that we're growing. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in the way it was supposed to. We lost a lot of money," he explained. But Styles had a specific issue with Hogan, surprise, surprise, who he felt wasn't doing enough to promote TNA. He said, quote, "I think I was kind of pissed at Hogan at the time because I was like, why doesn't he go out? Why doesn't he talk about TNA? Why is he not helping us? He's not advertising at all. He never talked about TNA. I was pissed, but I now realize I think he was embarrassed. It was embarrassing to him to talk about that, so he didn't." End quote. With financial issues mounting, the company expecting Styles to take a pay cut when his contract was up, something that he clearly wasn't willing to do, that led to Styles' exit in that year of 2013. So, J-Bone, do you think Styles is right? Do you think Hogan and Bischoff ruined TNA now that we have official confirmation from Styles?
It's an insider's opinion. It's stuff that he personally went through while he was there. I can say this as a fan. When I first started podcasting, was right around the same time, and I took note of the absences of certain roster members as they were starting to go by the wayside, like Kazarian, Daniels, Samoa Joe, Styles, your OGs that helped build that company were slowly all going away. And it's one thing if you're replacing talent, you're bringing in someone new, hot and fresh. Okay, that's understandable. Here's the thing: they weren't. They were just getting rid of talent. James Storm, so many. It was sad. It was really freaking sad. And
Sorry about your damn luck.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, and that conversation is going to go from now until the end of time as far as like who to blame. I think there were positives about it, as far as what happened at the time. I don't think it was all bad, but from stories I've heard within the last year, Hogan was a mess. Hogan was an absolute mess behind the scenes, drinking a gallon of vodka a day while he was, there. He was very difficult to deal with. And it's, am I still going to love Hogan? Yeah, part of me is always going to love Hogan. But he was obviously in a different point in his life, in the career, when he was brought in to help really boost things and or possibly compete with the WWE, which there go the wrestling egos like, oh, sure, we can do this. Jiminy Christmas. No, you can't. To a degree, sure. But you're never going to like do it to the point where you're going to, put someone like, the WWE, the juggernaut, out of business. And it just ain't going to happen. But to wrap up that point, yeah. Do I believe AJ? Yeah, I'm sure he had his own experiences with Hogan and Bischoff and the people behind the scenes at that time that, caused him to, and as much as I think the fans wanted him to stay, look at what happened. He went on to New Japan. He went on to Ring of Honor. He became a notable part of the Bullet Club at that time.
Yeah.
And then from there, he went on to WWE and just flipped the company on its head. Like, whoa, what happened here?
I will say AJ was the reason I started watching New Japan.
Yeah. So real quick,
right.
To go back to the original question, as we're discussing this, and I'm hearing everyone's opinion.
Yeah.
We can clearly now state Hulk Hogan and Bischoff run TNA in 2013 because that was actually the period of time that I watched TNA the most.
I did too.
And what really grabbed me as just a fan of wrestling was a 6-sided ring. And the moment, everybody's got their opinion on the 6-sided ring. Totally understandable, but it played so much better with the X division, and it played so much better with the likes of Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Danielson, like those players that left not too long after that went away. It made the match exciting because they always had good God, remember Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels in TNA, the triple threat match? I mean, like, that was fucking phenomenal. Some of the best.
It's one of the greatest matches.
Probably one of the greatest TNA matches of all time.
Yeah.
And that was during the 6-sided ring period. It made wrestling interesting, different. And the moment that bastard Hulk Hogan came in, fucking hate the guy. I'm going to state it 100 times. Don't like him. But he came in and they just changed it and flipped the whole company on his side. And from what they were separating themselves from other wrestling companies, now went right back to what all the wrestling companies were doing. So to me, I will always say Hulk Hogan and the crew that came in during that period of time ruined TNA. Kevin Nash was part of that as well. Did
Dixie Carter enter the fold after Hogan? I can't remember, or was she before?
I think like Hogan, and she was always there, but she became a predominant figure like a few years after, right?
No, so
No.
me and the TNI guys covered all the Asylum episodes, which was like the first year and a half, give or take a little. So Dixie came in
2000.
during the Asylum episodes. And those were like the $10 pay-per-views. They didn't call them PLEs back then, but you know what I mean. What's funny is if you look carefully in some of those first shows during that first year, and you look in the audience behind the ring on opposite camera, you can see her in the audience. You can see her there clapping, watching the show, and it's like, wait a minute, is that? Because I remember this distinctly watching those episodically week after week when we were reviewing the Asylum years or Asylum episodes, and telling the guys, be like, there she is. She's in the background. And that was when she slowly became into play. Things started moving around slowly that first couple of years. Yeah.
Hey, listen, we may never know who actually caused the downfall of TNA. Everyone's got their opinion. I mean, was it Dixie? Was it Hogan and Bischoff? Was it Double J? Was it Corny? Was it Earl? I mean, this is starting to sound like who screwed Brett. But I can tell you a couple of things. EY did not come,
Ted Turner.
Oh, Ted Turner. I can tell you a couple of things. EY did not cause the downfall of TNA. Don't fire that guy. Tony Khan is causing the downfall of AEW, and everybody caused the downfall of WCW. Those things I know for sure.
Yeah.
Evening, Bells Boy.
Hi, Bells. Hi, Bells Boy. Jesus, I can't talk. I agree with you, Max. I totally do.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those conversations that is like which came first, chicken or the egg? Who ruined WCW? Well, Scott Steiner would tell you the executives. I think a lot of the wrestlers would tell you the executives ruined it. A lot of other folks would say Bischoff and Hogan ruined it with all their fucking contracts. Again, it's just a big blame game. Who ruined what and what ruined who. I think J-Bone definitely ruined TNA. No, I don't.
I know when I stopped watching TNA, it went in the toilet. Yeah,
they knew, man.
Said, oh no!
They said
J-Bone's not watching.
Yeah, they said J-Bone stopped watching, so we're going to stop putting effort into it.
And that's when EY stepped up and said, "No, I'm going to make it great around here."
I actually came back to it when things started slowly going viral with the whole Hardy compound, delete the broken character, and I started watching episodes. So they started doing those weird matches, on the compound and all that stuff, and I was like, "Well, what's going on here? What's going on in TNA?" And that's when I started reviewing it again on my own channel. So crazy stuff.
It is insane how it has evolved, and now they've got a very close relationship with the WWE. I applaud TNA for making it, and if anybody can learn from the mistakes that TNA made, I think it's AEW. Can definitely learn from the mistakes that TNA made.
Listen, there are so many things that AEW needs to learn. I just don't think Tony Khan is capable. Sorry.
I know.
They hired Jeff Jarrett. Now, I'm not sitting here and blaming Jeff Jarrett, but I'm just saying it's like you're not gonna learn from it when you're hiring former
TNA guy.
TNA people.
And I mean, look at Global Force Wrestling. So there you go.
Yeah, I actually liked Global Force Wrestling for its short existence because
The
they
2
actually
months that it ran.
they did a stadium show up in Appleton, Wisconsin that my wife and I went to when we started dating, and we took a trip up there, and I got to actually meet Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I got to meet Jeff Jarrett. I got to meet Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. I got to meet so many wrestlers. I got to meet Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh wow!
That I didn't realize was from Milwaukee. I never knew, but he was a brand new free agent. Jeff Jarrett scooped him up and put him on some of his shows, and it's it is what it is. But it was still an exciting time. Those were fun shows, you know.
Yeah.
J-Bone, I got a question for you.
Shoot.
You said you met who'd you say you met again?
Duggan.
Before Ciampa, the one right before Ciampa.
Oh, Gallows. And Anderson.
Gallows.
Yes.
Did you ring a bell and see if he would just snap when you met him?
No.
Because if you did if you did not, I'm very disappointed in you.
No, I didn't. Let me tell you, those guys were absolutely, there were no egos. There was one ego there that made kind of an uncomfortable picture because I basically got pictures with all of them. Didn't buy a ton of merch, but I got pictures with all of them. The one that just kind of stood there and looked like he shit himself while he was standing next to me was Sanjay Dutt.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Because that's what the picture looks like. But anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe he did shit himself.
Probably. Maybe.
He was like, oh, it's J-Bone.
Fucking J-Bone.
But no, one of my favorites was meeting Gallows and Anderson. They were the New Japan tag title holders at the time, and they brought them to the show, and I got to hold those belts while I got the too sweet picture taken with them. I'm never gonna forget that.
Nice.
And then it went from there. Years later, me and the TNI crew had them on when they became part of TNA.
Oh,
and
cool.
they were doing a media run, and
that's awesome, man.
They will always be one of my, no matter what they do in the industry, who they beat, who they lose to, no matter, they'll always be one of my current faves in the industry.
For sure. Well, guys, that is the show for this evening. It was there's been a lot of stuff, and there's so much that we couldn't cover, so much that we wanted to cover. We just couldn't fit it all into the show. But we definitely thank you for tuning in tonight, and we definitely want to remind you that wrestling is in its own individualistic fashion probably one of the greatest things that we've ever seen ever, and you have to just watch it, love it, no matter what it is, whether it's AEW, whether it's WWE, no matter what side of the aisle you stand on, just love professional wrestling. Can we go? Let's go down and give our socials, and we'll start with my best friend Max Magus.
You can find me at Max Magus. You can find my other podcast at Our Shots Podcast. We're on most pod services, or go to random-shots.net. I also want to say one more thing. Thank you for being a friend. Traveling down that road to WrestleMania and back again.
Yes, absolutely. Your heart is true, and you're a pal, and you're
confidant.
I'm like, wait, are we talking about wrestling or are we talking about Golden Girls? What
fucking Golden Girls, dude. I can have a whole fucking hour podcast about Golden Girls. Fantastic.
I actually
do you not know me?
Yeah, right.
I can link anything to pro wrestling that I want to.
Yes,
I have to want to, though.
exactly.
It took me a second, but I've watched a lot of Golden Girls, so I can actually appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, at your
Jimbo.
age, that's not a surprise.
B. Arthur's hot. What?
Oh, okay. That's weird.
What?
J-Bone, go ahead and give us your socials, bud.
Ignore that last thing I said. It's either here nor there.
I think you meant Lanahan.
You can find me on the old Twitter box at jbone5150. You can also find me over rambling on that other little podcast called Total Nonstop Impact, where we talk all things TNA. I do a live reaction, and then we do a review following that, breaking down every episode of TNA.
There you go. Baron, how can I follow you, buddy?
Right here, boys and girls. Scumbag Jordan with three M's.
Oh, and that reminds me.
Yes.
Saturday night, I don't know if you guys remember, you two were there, he wasn't. I made the comment, if you have any complaints, please feel free to tweet them to @ScumbagJordan with 3 N's. And I meant to actually clarify something about that. There is a reason, Jordan or Baron hit it right nail on the head that night. He said he's just going to ignore it like everything else. There's a reason that I picked him for that. Here's the thing. My best friend and I, we have a tendency to get a little hot-headed when we're responding to complaints. This guy down here has a tendency to be way too nice when he's responding to complaints. Probably best that we just send it over to the Baron and let him ignore it, and that way there's no further controversy out of that complaint.
I have 10,000 unread emails in my inbox with work. I can bypass a few hateful messages on Twitter.
You should read some of those emails on the air.
Well, that's just a hodgepodge of shit.
I tell you what the best ones are the ones that come in the back end of the Facebook page. The ones that the fake ones that tell you that, oh, your page has been locked up and shut down because of your content, and you have to contact this link in order to get it back. And it's like, that page looks fine. Can I help you? What kind of fake BS is this? It's like, oh my God, TNI has a ridiculous amount of those. I don't know if our channel has any. I'd have to look at the back end of it, but those are the dumbest. It's like they put so much effort into it, and it's so dumb.
For sure. Speaking of this channel, you can definitely follow us on social media at the Ramblers Pod. You can find us on X there. You can search for us on Facebook at Ramblers Unleashed. And you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the like button, click the thumbs up button on the videos. That tells YouTube that you like what we're doing, and that recommends our videos to other users. So this coming Saturday, I believe, right, is... or no, right? When is Roadblock? When is Roadblock?
I thought it was next Tuesday.
Is it next Tuesday?
Yeah, I think it's a regular TNA, but not quite a regular TNA.
Or NXT?
We're talking NXT Roadblock, right?
NXT.
March 11th.
That's what I meant, NXT, and yes, it's next Tuesday.
Okay.
March 11th, yeah.
Okay, that's gonna be a stacked one. So we'll probably
TNA's hot right now.
Yeah, so we'll dive into that next Tuesday. So in the meantime, please do watch professional wrestling. We'll enjoy professional wrestling, no matter who it is or what it is. And we will meet back here on this channel, youtube.com/Ramblers Unleashed, next Tuesday. Do it all over again. Enjoy professional wrestling and enjoy your weekend. See ya.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to Ramblers Unleashed. Follow the show on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the bell icon for notifications of upcoming episodes.